Hey folks, guess what? You get 2 videos from me this week. Woohoo! What's the occasion? Well, it's not talking about an EU book or comic or anything like that. It's actually having to deal with some current events going on in Star Wars or the Lucasfilm world. I'm sure you've all heard the news that Kathleen Kennedy is reportedly leaving Lucasfilm again, right? Folks, this whole thing of Kathleen Kennedy's going to leave, I've been hearing this nonstop since 2000. Was it 2017 when Last Jedi came out? That was when it started. Because interestingly, I don't know if many of you remember this, but back in the day when Disney first bought Star Wars, and especially after they decanonized the EU, and they did they rebooted and made their new Disney canon. When they did that, you got crucified if you dared criticize Lucasfilm, J.J. Abrams, or whatever, Kathleen Kennedy. You got destroyed if you if you criticized Disney. You didn't do that back in the day. It was not cool to hate Disney or to not be interested like I was about the new canon. That is a fact that especially because now it's cool to to hate on the Disney stuff, or to not like it or whatnot. I sounds so hipsterish, but I remember in my day, I didn't care for the Disney stuff or had no interest in it before it was cool to think that way. But, whatever. But then, of course, come, what, was it, 2017 when Last Jedi came out? That was suddenly then when it started to become cool to not like the Disney stuff. And then, of course, what was it, the South Park thing? When, they started, Kathleen Kennedy really got more known, in the normie, centric world where everyone's like, oh yeah, Kathleen Kennedy's not cool, she needs to go. But people have been wanting her and saying that, oh yeah, she's going to go after Last Jedi. She didn't go. Oh, she's going to go after Solo or the Han Solo movie. Stayed. Oh, she's going to go. She's so gone after Rise of Skywalker. Nope, still. And fast forward, here we are. She's still here. So the point I'm trying to make is that people have been crying wolf about Kathleen Kennedy leaving or being fired from Lucasfilm for we're what, 2 years away from a decade of people doing it. So the point is that it's been a thing. But there's a rumor, and the reason I guess we're bringing it up now, if you might be saying, well, why are you bringing it up if it's always not true? Well, the reason is that, what was it, like 2 or 3 days ago, it's been really picking up in the media that, oh yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, she's leaving, she's retiring or whatever. Now it's looking like, again, that might even not be true, and that Kathleen Kennedy's still going to be in charge of Lucasfilm. And again, you might be saying, well, if it's just like all the other times, why are you talking about it? Because I figured that I've had a couple of people ask what I think, and quite frankly, I think just with how much momentum this time got than previous times, it might be interesting to throw my 2 cents into the ring in terms of what are you thinking, and do I want Kathleen Kennedy to go, and what would that do? So, I don't know if everyone's going to like my opinion, but that's the joy. It's an opinion. If you disagree or agree or have a different perspective, please share it. I'd love to hear it. I am most certainly not the authoritative person on anything, but again, I know Star Wars, and I again have a passion for the old canon, the EU, and so, you know what, I guess, I think I have something to say, and hopefully you at least are intrigued, and at least will hear it. But here's the thing. Number one, I don't care, and I've said it before, so this isn't new, But to put it as kindly as I can, I don't care about the new canon. I don't care about the sequels. I don't care about the new characters. I don't care about whatever it is that they're doing. I to put it as bluntly, but as kindly, I guess, or as respectful as I can, I don't care. You know, if you do, that's fine. Again, my best friend, he follows both timelines, the new one and then the original. Now, his preference is like mine. He prefers the old, but you know, and while he's been burnt by a lot of the new stuff, he still, you know, is willing to give, you know, to follow it. I know there are people like that. I know there are people who have just been, you know, who have never ventured into the new canon. For me, I've never really done that. I did see Force Awakens originally when it came out. And again, I've said this, so it's not like I'm, you know, revealing any new thing. But I did see it originally when it first came out, because it was kind of it was because, again, you know, 2015 Star Wars, it was hype. You know, it was a really exciting time. It was the first Star Wars movie since Sith. And it was kind of like, man, like, am I really not going to go to the theater with my friends and family to go see this like I did the prequels and all that? Because I saw the prequels multiple times. You know, in fact, going to see midnight showings of them, and in particular Revenge of the Sith. So it just, you know, it was a special time. In fact, I don't have these in digital version, which is why I can't just flash them up here. But my parents actually found photos of us at the Revenge of the Sith premiere. We got interviewed for the radio station. We fought random kids in line. We were in the theater and fighting each other with lightsabers and posing in front of the posters, you know, and all that. So, you know, the point is that, like, you know, again, Sith, we did that. And, you know, was I going to not get involved? And so I, you know, said, well, you know, I'm always going to consider the EU. I'm going to consider this the true and official canon. But again, could I look at it like Marvel, where they've got a gajillion alternate universes? Could I look at it like an Ultimate Universe, like a 2099? Could I look at it like the multitude of movie continuities before we just got the MCU? And, you know, could I do that? So I watched Force Awakens, and I was very disappointed by it. I didn't care for it. Was not on board. And, you know, like I said, I don't think it was good. I don't think it was a good, you know, Star Wars movie. I don't think it was good at continuing George's legacy. But I wasn't angered by it because, again, it's like, well, it's even if I did like it was never going to be canon for me. The EU is. So I don't, you know, it was no big deal. So when people got angry about, like, Last Jedi and everything, I'm like, well, you know, I'm sorry, you know, but there's a good alternative, because guess what? My Luke Skywalker, he didn't do those things. You know, the story didn't play out that way in my Star Wars, my canon. And so it was a great way of showing people the EU. And I guess where I'm going with this is, you know, so that to kind of say, like, that's pretty much about as far in Disney as I got. You know, and then obviously everything played out the way it did, and then suddenly, you know, me who didn't really care for it, now suddenly everyone was starting to, or most everyone, you know, was suddenly like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this. So, you know, I'll hear people, you know, who are, you know, all on board with the new stuff, or, you know, are like, man, we just want Star Wars to be good again. We want this, we want that. You know, and if Kathleen leaves, that's going to fix it, and we're going to get new, you know, we're going to get good shows, we're going to get good movies. For me, being an EU fan, I don't care about the new movies, because, again, you know, unless those movies or shows are a part of this, I'm not going to check it out. I'm not. So, you know, for me, I just want this to be continued. Now, I know there's some people who are going to say, no, don't let them touch it. That's a whole different subject for a whole another day, and we can have that discussion maybe. But the point is that I'm approaching this not as someone who is wanting Star Wars, the new canon movies and shows to improve. You know, I guess, you know, in some way I do want them to improve A, for those fans, but B, because then if the public is more interested in Star Wars, would they be more apt to doing more EU? Because they're like, man, Star Wars is just printing money. What else can we do? You know, I thought about that a couple times. So again, I guess that's my preamble. Is I'm trying to emphasize, like, I'm gonna approach the idea of Kathleen Kennedy being in charge or not being in charge from an EU fan perspective, not from someone who just wants better new canon shows and movies. And maybe other things, but primarily those two things. And here's where people might not like it. I think it was made very clear to us during the Kennedy era, however long that is, that if Kathleen Kennedy is in charge, or this current regime of Lucasfilm is in charge, that we are not going to be getting any true new EU anytime soon. And I hate to say that, but we've done billboards in 2015, 2016, 2017, whenever it was. I think it was 2015 when it started, and then twice in the 2010s, essentially, or ultimately, we did that. We've been going to the conventions. It's the whole movement of give us more legends, that that kind of spearheaded or would ultimately lead to the creation of the Twin Suns Foundation. And there was that huge movement. Now it's much more divided, getting, kind of what I was saying earlier of people who want it to continue and people who don't. I'm one of the people who do want it to continue. I'm interested in seeing that. Again, there's arguments on both sides of which way you want to go. And I've heard most of the arguments, and again, that's a whole different discussion. But the point is, I don't think in this regime, or the Kennedy dynasty, that we are going to be getting any new EU anytime soon. So if Kathleen Kennedy leaves, or whether she's fired, whether she leaves on her own, is that going to do that? I don't think so. At least not right away. And the reason I say that is because I think Kathleen Kennedy, being that she's been in charge for over a decade at this point, she has been able to reshape and get Lucasfilm the way she wants it in terms of structure, and especially in terms of employees, who's in charge and who works there as just normal employees or leaders or managers or whatever. She has the way she wants, which again, you're in charge. I might not agree with it, but that's your prerogative. You can do that. But so she leaves. I don't know if that's going to help our cause. To me, it almost feels like we need to have a complete restructure of Lucasfilm, or hope that whoever the successor is understands the EU fans and is willing to say, we're going to do it anyways, even if you all don't want it. I think it's going to come down to the leader or the organization as a whole. So that's where I'm saying I don't know if Kathleen Kennedy, regardless of when she chooses to leave and how she leaves, regardless of that, who cares about any of those things? I don't think that is going to essentially help our cause immediately. Again, could the new leader be someone who is like, yeah, EU, let's do it, and make it happen? Sure. If you change the whole dynasty, maybe, or the whole, thing, you do like a Twitter firing where you completely, restart in a way. Maybe, again, it's a possibility. It just, I don't foresee the current employees, leaders of Lucasfilm, suddenly having a change of heart, even if Kathleen Kennedy is no longer involved, in whatever form or capacity. There's rumors that, Dave Filoni, because I think he's gotten promoted, which I've made it no secret, I don't care for Dave Filoni at all. He's another one who, again, it sounds so hipster to say, but I didn't care for Dave Filoni before it was not cool to not like him. And and I've heard I've heard a couple of Disney canon folk say, oh yeah, Filoni, he's on our side and he'll do that. And I'm like, I don't think so, because Dave Filoni is the guy who will even plow through the canon of the movies, the original 6 movies, to make whatever it is he wants to do work. This is the guy who said, oh yeah, Anakin knows that carbon freezing won't kill you. Carbon freezing's safe. Oh, I don't want my son to get hurt. We're going to test it because I don't want my son to get killed. Well, I thought you already knew that it was safe. You told everyone that it was safe. So, but now suddenly you're not. So it's things like that kind of make me go, huh, But again, that's just one out of many things that that I could go into about why I'm not a Dave Filoni fan at all. But again, Filoni's definitely not going to be the person that does that. And so like I said, I don't know. I guess where I'm trying to get at is, if this is true, or whenever it does happen, because now again I'm hearing reports contradicting this. I have a feeling this was another boy who cried wolf. Maybe they were, because videos will pop up of, I have inside sources at Disney and Lucasfilm telling me, and it's like, okay, either your sources are, they don't exist, they're lying, or it's true, or it was true, now it's not, because things have changed, because she's changed her mind, other people have, whatever. The point being is, as an EU fan, I don't know. At this point, I don't care either way whether she stays or goes. I do think that with her gone, that's maybe, I guess, a slight possibility of it leading to more EU in the future. But again, it depends on who takes over, and it completely depends too on the people, like the staff. So I still, I guess to conclude all of this, I still have hope, and I still hope that one day we can get a continuation or, new true EU content when it comes to books or comics or whatever. But in the meantime, regardless of what happens with, Lucasfilm and whatnot, we have a great canon. And so if there's anyone out there who maybe is feeling a bit disenfranchised with how things are going right now, I'd encourage you, talk to me, talk to one of the other many EU YouTube people here, and we'll recommend stuff. There's a lot of good stuff. I'm sure there's great forums out there and stuff like that. But this is what I'm going to continue to celebrate. This is what I'm going to continue to talk about. This is what I'm going to continue to love and enjoy, and continue to interact with people about. And so I guess to conclude this is, don't put all your faith in one person leaving or going or staying, or coming in for anything. And just be out there. Continue to talk about it. Continue to talk about the EU. Continue to celebrate it. Continue to elevate it. Continue to bring it to people's attention. Continue to just love it. Continue to enjoy reading it, playing it, experiencing it, learning about it. It's such a rewarding experience to do so, and so I look forward to continue doing that. Like I said, we will see with Lucasfilm one day. I hope that eventually it'll happen. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to love and cherish and celebrate and talk about the expanding universe that I love so much. And I hope you do as well. So anyways, just some thoughts, just some observations, just some things that I had on my brain that I figured I'd share for anyone who was interested. And with that being said, may the force be with you, and I will see you next time. Take care.